Hi, my name is Fatma Sheikh. I work as a communication assistant at the Center for Student Engagement, and today I'm here with Principal Uli. So this past fall, our student body had the privilege to take classes in the newly designed North Building. There have also been some developments related to the implementation of the new academic plan and to focus on expanding our experiential learning opportunities. So can you provide us with an overview of what else is in store for the University of Toronto community and what else our students can look forward to?
I think students here can look forward to a lot. And the nice thing about being a new student, of course, is you're here for enough years to actually see all of this unfold. So we have aspirations in terms of programming. And what you'll see, as you've already mentioned, are elements of the academic programming coming through, including some new elements that we're going to focus on in terms of how indigeneity and indigenous teachings might operate. One of the areas I'm very interested in is to ensure we change and build on what we have in student services, and in particular the idea of advising for students. I'd like to see that become much more personal and not so much related to a student coming in with a problem, but rather reaching out to students and helping them find their path through the university experience. I think most people will recognize on campus the construction that's taking place. And as you say, our so-called North 2, the replacement of the old North building, which was a building supposedly a temporary structure, which lasted for 50 years, not so temporary, that's been replaced, and it is a marvelous construction project. In fact, it is the largest construction project that the University of Toronto has ever done on any campus. But we're about to start an even more expensive project, and that will give you a sense of how significant the expansion and growth on this particular campus is. This other project is a science building. It will largely be dedicated to research, and we've not really had a great deal of investment in research on campus for some time. But what that does is it brings in a new faculty complement, and all types of new programs spin from that. It'll largely be in the health science area. It will connect to the hospital system. And so we expect some rather interesting opportunities for both graduate and undergraduate students from that. Perhaps even earlier on, what you'll recognize if you're a student here right now is a reconstruction of part of the building we're sitting in, so-called Davis Building, which was one of the two original large buildings on campus. And this is to build new student space. So we have some areas in the front here, which are large open areas. They're called the meeting place. That's all being restructured to provide students better services, food services, from the standpoint of study space, the type of seating that's available. And this is a phase that will now open just at the end of February as people see the construction here. But there's more to come. What we're going to be doing is capturing the outside patio areas of this building. Those will be designed as student space also, so they will become indoor space. So I think that's rather exciting. But another very significant project, and one that's longer term. These things take a while because you go through a planning and approval process and you have to build the building. But we're now talking about another building. And that building, to me, is probably one of the most creative and inspirational in terms of, in a sense, amalgamating the value of all of these different disciplines, the conceptualization of how disciplines collide or clash within the university. And so what we're going to have is an arts, culture, and technology building. It's largely driven by the type of expansion we've seen in interest in computer science and applications of computer science, our so-called Institute of Communication, Culture, Information Technology. It's, in a sense, a representation of how digital technologies are used, and the movement of what's happening in humanities. A lot more interest in terms of digital, whether it's media or digital technologies, the concept of using large databases, artificial intelligence comes in. And so we're trying to amalgamate all of that into one building. And in the center of that building will be sort of the showcase of culture. We hope to have indigenous materials as well as artifacts that have been collected from around the world. We have a strong anthropology department here that really connects us to the world. I think it'll be a very exciting time when that opens. The problem is, of course, that takes some years to take place. So what you can anticipate is that the meeting space area, or the meeting place area, will open first. And that will happen, as they say, in phases. First one coming in a few months, but then next year. And then the science building comes up, and then this arts, culture, and technology building. It's not named, it's just sort of a working title, but it gives you a flavor for where we're going. It's rather exciting times.
Wow, that is some really exciting things to look forward to. Having the support of family and parents is very important to a student's university's success. So are there any general tips you can provide to our parent and family members on how to support their students during their university journey?
I think I'm reasonably qualified to answer this, given that I've had two kids go through the university experience here in Ontario. I'll also give you some insights, and my answer may be a little bit surprising, particularly to the parents, because the usual type of answer here is, well, the students need financial support, and you have to, in a sense, provide them whatever you can in support and accommodation and all of that. I'm going to look at this from a different perspective. As a student comes into the university, students often have the sense that somehow it's going to create opportunity for their career development, which it should, but it is not meant to provide, if you will, readiness for employment stepping out the door. The idea of a university education is to change the way that you see the world, the way that you think, that you process information, the questions that you ask, your curiosity, and the motivation to actually ask deep questions and think more deeply about what you see rather than just accepting it. I think everybody accepts technology. You understand you have a cell phone, but what is it doing to you as a person? How has it changed your habits? They can be social habits, they can actually be, if you will, physical habits. And some are good, but you need to be asking those questions and thinking deeply about the things that are around you. And that would be my first suggestion to parents. Recognize that when your son, daughter, nephew, whoever it is, comes back home, they're likely going to be thinking at a different level, and they will be communicating with you at a different level. And it won't be superficial. They may actually want to get into a dialogue where that may not have been the case in the years past. And that's something that should be encouraged. And what you're seeing is the development of a sense of curiosity and a better understanding of the world. And that's what makes us valuable as community citizens. And whether we consider our community local, it could be just family, or if you will, your place, your role in terms of deriving from the entire social agenda. These are critical elements in terms of how one develops to become a full human being. And so I would encourage you as parents to think of the type of questions that are being asked, and in a sense be open to dialogue. And sometimes what you'll find is that the questions being asked, they can touch a nerve. They're not always easy questions, but that's what the university experience is all about. And the other aspect is to realize that students within the university system, they are under pressure, they're under stress. That is in part the university experience. Right. The question that we're asking of our students, and it's not, if you will, an external question, call it an internal question. How do you build resilience? How do you deal with multiplexing in your life, recognizing that you have many different things to do? And some would call it time management. And there's more to it. There's also a mental resiliency in management that has to be learned. And typically what will happen is that a student in this pressured environment that's by design needs a place that they can feel is safe for them. Right. Home, family, that is the safety net. It has been since the child was born, and if parents can provide that welcoming environment, recognizing that the person stepping in the door not only may be asking some more difficult questions, but will be feeling a different level of stress than they have ever felt before, that the family becomes critical from the standpoint of that resilience and the development of resilience. I think that would be incredibly valuable.
Well, that is some great tips to our parents and family members. So what is one childhood memory you have about the fun winter season here in Canada?
So again, look at me, right? Getting old, all right. So we're talking about something that happened decades ago, and I think everyone's familiar with the concept of climate change. Toronto used to have a lot more snow and a lot more cold weather than it does now. We're largely moderated by wind that's, in a sense, going to be controlled by what's coming up from the US, from the standpoint of the Great Lakes moderation, this type of thing, but the patterns have changed. And as a young child, I could take benefit from that extra snow. Cold wasn't always much fun, but as a kid you just ignore the cold, that's not a big deal, you just have fun in the snow. When we would clear the roads, when the driveways are cleared, you're not talking about a snow pile that's as high as a desk. You're talking about snow piles that are sometimes as high as a roof here. Right? So they can be 6, 7 feet high. And so my favorite time of year was that, when the snow actually built up. And I was what I would describe as a tunnel rat.
Oh.
I would go in and basically hollow out all of these snow pile structures. I learned early on how to build an igloo out of blocks, and I would make furniture. And that stuck with me past childhood. I used to be able to have some time to go up north for a few days in the winter, and where we have a family retreat. And if it was packing snow, I would build snow sculptures and build full igloos with furniture made out of snow and ice, build obelisks, tried to blow everyone away by making obelisks that are maybe 3 or 4 times as tall as I can stand. And they would sit there and say, how the heck did you get up to there? I'd make a snake on the outside of the obelisk.
Right.
So without everybody knowing, I'd pile up the snow to make a ramp and then work my way down and get rid of the snow. It looked really impressive. These are things that, for me, they're inspirational because it was a form of creativity as a child. But what I'm trying to say is that creativity, it stuck with me as an adult. And I love to do that. I do that and did it with my own kids. I do it now with my grandchild. These are exciting things that I will carry with me the rest of my life, and it comes because of the Canadian climate.
Right. That sounds like a really fun experience. And thank you so much for your time. It was really great.
It was my great pleasure.